So I made a conscious decision that I looked at the relationships in my life and I realised that a lot of them weren't working, and that's because they didn't see me.
Welcome to the Human Design Projectors Society podcast. I'm your host, Zette Harbour. Join me as we explore and dive deeply into the brilliance, the beauty, and the power of what it is to be a projector. Hi, Alison. I am so excited to have you as a guest today on the Human Design Projector Society podcast. Welcome, and please tell our viewers a little bit about you.
Hi, thank you for having me. And I've been really excited about coming on and speaking about this. I think we were just speaking a little bit earlier that I just think projectors really need some support. I know I did and still do. Yeah, it would be really lovely if this can help anybody out there. I came to human design quite late. I've only been really aware of it for the past 4 or 5 years, I think. And yeah, I was a bit blown away when I found out I was a projector, and it's explained a hell of a lot of things to me. I was always trying to fit myself into a square hole, and then I found out, oh, actually, you're not ever meant to be a square. You're meant to be a ball. And everything's made sense. So yeah, I was on a big journey of working through my trauma. I had quite a lot of childhood trauma and I was working through that. And then I found human design just by somebody saying, hey, I think you could be like me. I said, she said, do you mind me doing your charts? And she said, oh yeah, you're a projector. She said, I thought you were. And a lot of the things that I discovered about myself through my healing journey, everything that I'd started to discover that I thought I needed to change about myself, I thought a lot of the things were wrong and that I needed to change. All of a sudden I got told, no, that is who you are. So I really love human design because I come to a lot of the realizations prior to finding human design, and human design just gave me confirmation about what I'd learned. So I just thought, if everything I've already discovered is right, then I'm just going to go with whatever else it's telling me.
Awesome. Oh, that's so great. I can relate to your story. I'm sure many projectors have had similar experiences and feelings about it. And that's why the Human Design Projector Society and podcast wanted to be born, right? It was this sense that, or an awareness that when we learn to see ourselves correctly, then what we radiate out into the world is going to have so much more clarity, and then the rest of the world will see us correctly as well. And that is our first step, right? Mm-hmm. To be recognized correctly. And we are destined to, in large part, our destiny as projectors is to fulfill the role of advisors who can guide mainly generators, because they are the most common type out in the world. And so when we know our true nature, our true role, and our true value, then it's like being a radio, right? The frequency we give out is going to have a very clear song, instead of a lot of static of us trying to be all these different stations, right? All at once. So now we can really put out like a very clear, coherent signal song. And then the generators for whom our individual song is correct will hear it and go, oh, I want to listen to that station. Let me tune in even more. I do like to start by just sharing briefly my design to give you and anyone who's watching a sense of what my lenses are, where I'm coming from. And so number one, I like to make sure and mention that my motivation is color number 6, which is innocence. And therefore it is just absolutely critical that I not have an agenda. And I'm over 60. I have spent many years having agendas and desires, because desire is the transference. And that seems normal because a lot of the world has desires and agendas and all those sorts of things. What I have learned is that the best outcome for everyone involved is when I stay in alignment with my motivation. And that's true for all of us, but very specifically, Ra said that projectors' relationship to their motivation is key. The other element is that I'm a self-projected projector because I have the G to the throat, and then I have an additional activation in the ajna. So that's just a brief bit about my design to help people get a sense of where is she coming from? So now let's look at your chart. So what your chart shows us is that you are a split definition. And what that means is that you have this area of definition down here, right? You have the solar plexus and the ego center defined, also known as the heart or the will center. And then you have the splenic to the G to the throat to the ajna to the head. So all of these defined centers are connected without any interruption, right? But there is an interruption between these two being connected to the rest of your definition. So what we can see here is that potentially, and Maya Mechanics shows us right here over on the right-hand side, under the term bridges, your bridging gates are 12, 44, and 21. So the 12 is here in the throat, and it would make the bridging gate for the 22. You've got the 21 down here in the ego and heart center, which would bridge the 45 to the ego center. And then the 44 comes from the splenic, and that would connect to the 26. So that would create the connection there. And so when someone is a split definition, what they can perhaps expect and what people do report is there are two sort of separate parts of their way of experiencing themselves in the world. And because your authority, which is your solar plexus, is separated from particularly your throat, which is the communication and manifestation, that can provide some challenges in terms of getting your emotional wisdom, right? That's the part of you that's here to make the decisions, out into the world in manifested form or expression of yourself. And so the other aspect is that your head and ajna, they do have a really nice, easy flow into the throat. So potentially you might find it very comfortable to have concepts and inspiration and ideas and things you learn from leaders. And you might find them that you're able to organize them in a particular way, and they may leap out of you in a pulse with this 4323, right? They may just have these realizations that come out of nowhere, and you're saying them before you even know why you want to say them, maybe. So that's just a little bit about you having this split. Do you have any observations that you feel inspired to share?
Yes, that's definitely right about things just coming out of my mouth, especially when I'm with others. I just tend to say things that I think, who said that? Where did that come from? I really love that when that happens.